Hi everybody, and welcome back to another little video presentation. This Thursday, many parts of the UK go to the polls. In some instances, this is going to be local council elections. There will be also elections to the Welsh Assembly and the Scottish Parliament, both of which, by the way, I would like to see abolished. Absolutely wasteful institutions. Nonetheless, there will be elections to those. There will also be an election to find the new mayor of London. London, a global city, London, the capital of the United Kingdom. And it's that particular election that I wanted to talk to you about. So shall we perhaps, just to put the thing into context, before we start, I did see this tweet put out by YouGov. And it's essentially recognition of candidate standing. And as you can see, Sadiq Khan, who is the current mayor, has got a massive lead. 65% of Londoners basically know who he is and what he stands for. Makes me wonder about the other 35% though. Do you think, what have they been hiding under the stairs for the last 4 years? 65%, Sean Bailey, the Tory candidate, the Conservative candidate, half that. Lawrence Fox, the leader of the Reclaim Party, the pretty much newly formed party, on 16%. Sean Berry of the Green Party, 14%. And then you've got some independents, notably Piers Corbyn there, Jeremy Corbyn's brother, standing as an independent on 9%. Count Benface down at 6%. And a couple of others there, Peter Gammons of UKIP on 4%. So that kind of maybe lets you know who Londoners have got a sense of recognition of. So that said, let's dive into the detail a little bit, shall we? Because here are the actual candidates. There's 20 of them, 20 people standing who you can vote for on the 6th of May. And this is a really handy little sort of summary of the individual candidates. I'm not going to go into every one. This is Sean Bailey, the Conservative Party candidate. I think Sean Bailey, outside Conservative sort of central office, is seen as a very weak candidate. Poor selection. I think identity politics played some degree of influencing him being the candidate. I don't think he will do particularly well at all. Sean Berry, Green Party, lunatic fringe, to be dismissed. We got Count Benface, which he didn't submit his mini manifesto for this. We'll touch about him very briefly. Then we've got a couple of these independents, Valerie Brown, Piers Corbyn. Actually, if you click on Piers Corbyn, some of the things he's talking about: end lockdowns, spend more on serious illnesses, no vaccine passports, defend council housing, end homelessness, stop extension of the ultra-low emission zone. It's not mad stuff. It's actually fairly sensible. Here we have then Lawrence Fox, who you will probably be aware of. Lawrence is the leader of the newly formed Reclaim Party. If we jump into what Lawrence's party and Lawrence is standing for in London, he wants to, again, end lockdowns, reopen London, take politics out of policing, making London a better place to live, and standing up for the history of London, which I must admit is one of the attractive things about London. He wants to stop the statues being taken down and the street names being erased. He believes in freedom of speech, thought, and inquiry. Again, very little to argue about there. We've got Peter Gammons of UKIP. I honestly think UKIP were now irrelevant, certainly in this contest. Richard Hewison of the amusingly Rejoin EU party. Good luck with that one, Richard. And then we have, he's like even a more extreme version of the Liberal Democrats. You got a couple of these independents here. And then you come to the mayor himself, Sadiq Khan. Here's Sadiq. He's been in power now for, 4 years? Seems like an eternity. And he's going to, this is some hilarious stuff here. Jobs, jobs, jobs. By the way, London's hemorrhaged more jobs than any other part of the UK in the past year. He wants a greener future, fixing the housing crisis, toughen crime and the causes of crime. We'll talk about that in more detail. So we know the cliches. David Curtin, my friend David Curtin, standing leader of the Heritage Party. David's a really good guy, very sensible manifesto as well. If we dive into it, you'll see that, if you like, those people on the right have similarish kind of agendas. So it's defending free speech and liberty, opening business, no new normal. David's been very anti-lockdown, making London safe again, get London moving again, celebrate our heritage. Again, not a lot to dislike there. Now we've got a number of independents here. You see their names. Blah 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 blah. Brian Rose there of the pinstriped suit party, I see. So all these people have absolutely no chance. So look, these are the runners and riders, and I guess if we're being really honest about it, it comes down to Sadiq Khan versus Sean Bailey, I guess, with maybe an outsider in the form of Lawrence Fox. I think probably that's where it lies. I wish I could tell you otherwise, but that's kind of where we are with the candidates. So let's take them off the screen. Now, obviously, Sadiq Khan is the incumbent. So it's really important, I think, that we consider then, okay, Sadiq Khan, you've been in for 4 years. So shall we have a little look at perhaps what your major achievements have been? Because I think it's important to look at what Sadiq has achieved. So here we go. Knife crime, burglary and robbery have all soared in London under Sadiq Khan. Not to mention jihad, by the way, but here are some of the stats that have been collated, which we can look at. So how crime in London has soared under the Labour Mayor Sadiq Khan. Knife crime up a whopping 52%, burglary up 17%, robbery up 59%. In addition to that, we know that the gang wars have never been greater. Each year, many young black men lose their lives at the hand of these gangs, which are mostly black gangs operating across London as well, seemingly with a degree of impunity. So we've seen all this happening during the Khan time as mayor. Seen all this, right? So that begs the question, how on earth has Sadiq Khan any chance of being re-elected? It doesn't make sense, does it? Yes, it does. It makes absolute sense. And I'll tell you why it makes absolute sense. Because demography is destiny. And over the last 10 years, 15 years in particular, the demography of parts of London has changed dramatically. Certainly, Sadiq Khan claims that he's proud of the diversity that he claims is the strength of London. It's not a strength in any regard, apart from one. It gives him an electoral strength. And it's because the demography of London is so different to many parts of the rest of the UK that he will get re-elected come the vote on Thursday, I'm afraid. And so London will basically throw itself into another 4 years or whatever of chaos orchestrated by Sadiq Khan and his regime, which is an absolutely failed regime, unfit for all sensible Londoners. But I'm afraid those who vote or who turn out to vote are not going to be necessarily sensible Londoners. And in particular, many of them will be interested in the particular offerings from Sadiq Khan because he wants much more diversity. He wants to, I mean, you saw in his manifesto, he talked about being tough on crime, tough on the causes of crime. Well, I think there's 1 or 2 causes of crime in London Sadiq won't even talk about. So if you can't talk about it, Sadiq, how on earth, in any regard, are you going to be tough on it? So I think I'm afraid the portents are not good for Thursday. I would certainly like to see the likes of Lawrence Fox do really well, and I hope that he does. But in the meantime, I guess, so that we don't leave absolutely despondent in this one, let's talk about this candidate. Yes, Count Binface. Because Count Binface, who's also standing, has got a fully costed suite of policies, which marries social awareness and not being an anti-vaccine nut job. Oh yeah, he's in favour of the vaccine. Mind you, with that suit on, how are they going to get the vaccine into the Count? A couple of his policies amused me. No shop to be allowed to sell a croissant for more than £1. Why is that? That's a bit outrageous. Croydon to get a facelift, ironically. Oh God. Look at this. This is actually his grim stuff, isn't it? Sir David Attenborough would be placed on the fourth plinth in Trafalgar Square, or a statue of him. Good joke. London to join the EU. Well, there you go. I mean, yeah, he's a nut job, of course. He's doing this for self publicity, but at least there's a degree of I suppose, eccentricity in it. But sticking a bin in your head, putting on a silly suit, I suppose ultimately, when you think about it, that's not really sufficient reason to vote for you. So, as I said, the London will decide on Thursday who becomes mayor, and I suspect it will be Sadiq Khan with an overwhelming victory. That's bad news for London. It's bad news for the UK. It's good news for certain groups, and it's good news, I guess, for all those criminals who have had such a flourishing time over the past 4 years. And it's another reason, I guess, to absolutely avoid London, I think, going forward, because it will become increasingly like a place that you just don't want to go. Anyway, what's your thoughts on the London mayoral race? Do you agree with me that Sadiq Khan will be the clear winner? Do you regret the fact that people like the Conservatives couldn't put up a decent candidate? Or do you think Sean Bailey is the best that they've got? Do you think Lawrence Fox? Do you think David Curtin? Do you think Piers Corbyn? Do you think any of these guys have any chance? Might they shred the Sadiq Khan vote? Anyway, I don't think so, but let me know what you think. And I hope to then review the results of all of this with you towards the back end of this week when the people will have spoken. Let me know what you think in the comments in the thread below. Catch up with you folks real soon.